Something for us? I can go there. Oh, sure.
What is your name? Oh, great, perfect, that's all, thank you.
Good morning. So Pat asked a couple questions that I was gonna ask.
Microphone.
Mic to your mouth.
Just
No.
hold closer.
Okay.
There you
No, it's here.
Okay. Mike asked a couple questions earlier that I planned on asking. Are there any submariners here? Oh, right there. Yeah, I was gonna say, you look like a submariner.
He's short.
You know? Okay, are there any sailors here? Just regular Navy? Okay, thank you. And then I know that there's some military people here, so I wanna thank you all for your service. The other thing I wanted to ask is, and you answered the question, are there any ham operators here? Okay.
You can hold it closer.
Oh, okay.
Keep dropping down there.
Okay, I want to thank you. I lived in Okinawa from October of 1969 to March of 1972. And periodically, we got the opportunity to go to a place where we could go to a ham operator. They would contact somebody in the States. They would contact my parents and call my parents collect, and I was able to talk to my parents. I cannot express to you how much that meant to me and to my family. My parents actually got a phone call one day from a ham operator in Lafayette, Oregon. They went out and thanked him in person. It meant so much to them. Yeah, be able to talk to me. Okay, you don't have to get upset. So anyhow, the reason I'm here is that I'm going to talk about the USS Oregon. Now, Pat asked me a question earlier, and I'm going to go a little bit off. There was a brig that was the USS Oregon. It was from the territory of Oregon, because Oregon didn't become a state until 1859. So then there was a ship that was named USS Oregon, BB3, and it was commissioned, and I'm gonna have to look at the date because I can never remember it, in 1896. And if you remember correctly, this was during the Spanish-American War. And the BB3 was here in San Francisco. And they needed it in the Atlantic. So what it did is it went from San Francisco to Florida in 66 days. Now, this was prior to the Panama Canal. It went roughly 250 nautical miles a day. And it was known as the Bulldog of the Navy. Okay? This is actually a copy of our commissioning coin with the Bulldog on it and the water coming up in the front of it that looked like that. Thank you. And does everybody know what a challenge coin is?
A what?
A challenge coin.
Challenge coin?
A challenge coin. Okay. When you're in the Navy, our submariner, they have these little coins made up, and I've got some over here. And when you walk up to meet somebody, you walk up and you have your challenge coin in your hand, and you put your hand out, and you shake their hand, and you get their challenge coin. You know something, it sounds kind of silly, I'll be honest with you, but when I was in Groton, Connecticut a month ago, I got my first challenge coin the official way. The other ones I bought. So that's where we got the Bulldog of the Navy, is because the BB3 was able to go and help us win the Spanish-American War. There's more history with BB3, and I'm not going to go into that. So then, let's move forward to today and the USS Oregon, SSN 793. Obviously, it's been a long time since the ship's been named for the state of Oregon. So in 2014, it was determined that there would be a ship named USS Oregon. It was determined it was going to be SSN 793. That means it's a submarine, and it's a nuclear submarine. It is the 20th Virginia class submarine that's being built. It is currently being built in Groton, Connecticut. The laying of the keel was on July 8th, 2017. You might want to mark that down because that's my birthday, not 2017, 2008. Okay? So just, I know you're Santa Claus, but, that's not all the time. There's got to be something in between. So anyway, the laying of the keel, and then the next big step is the christening, and that is where the sponsor of the ship, which is David Richardson, she's a native Oregonian, and her husband was the chief of naval operations who just retired in July. But that's where she goes, and she takes the bottle of Oregon wine in this case and breaks it onto the ship. Now, on the other side of our challenge point, we have the USS Oregon. She flies in her own wings, the USSN 793. There's 33 feathers there because Oregon is the 33rd state in the Union. The other thing is that we have Crater Lake with the BD3 on it, and then we have Crater Lake with the submarine on it. Okay? Now, with that being said, and the christening being in Groton, Connecticut, how in the world could we allow water from any place other than Oregon be used in the champagne bucket that held the wine to be broken onto our ship? Could we allow anything like that? No. So, the commissioning committee decided that we would get water from Crater Lake. I called the son of a submarine vet who actually passed away a little over a year ago, and his son was in the Navy. I'd never met his son before. I said, do you know anybody who would be willing to walk the 1.1 miles down to the lake and get 3 gallons of water out of Crater Lake? He said, I will. Anything for a sub-vet. So we went down and met him and his wife and his 4 children, and he walked down and got 3 gallons of water from Crater Lake. He brought it back up, and he brought it up to us. If it would have been me, I'd still be down the bottom if I knew that part. So we shipped the water to Groton, Connecticut. So the bucket that held the wine was from Crater Lake. That has happened. The next
The date?
of what?
The christening,
October 5th of this year.
Oh, it was christened this year.
Yeah, it was christened on
last month.
Right, October 5th of 2019 in Groton, Connecticut at Electric Boat. And I'll talk about that a little bit more because I have the website of the christening. So you can go in and look at the christening. I told Pat this earlier, okay? It's an hour and 18 minutes long. And I'm not telling you what to do, but the first part of it is the music and the crew coming in, and they're introducing the dignitaries that are there. Then, if you have a desire to listen to the president of General Dynamics, the representative from Connecticut, the representative from Rhode Island, and the senator from Connecticut, continue watching. Okay? I was there. If you go 50 minutes in, and it's actually about 54 minutes in, then our state representative, I always get it wrong, Greg Walden was there. He's from Oregon, but he's not on this side of the state. You have to watch what he does. Because back in Connecticut, they have a little problem pronouncing Oregon correctly. So he comes in with a hat and goes, and I'm not going to tell you the story, okay? But that part I would watch. The next part is when David Richardson comes in, and she actually talks for a few minutes. And one of the things that she does, if you'll notice again on here, it says Trailblazers mount up. every morning when the crew gets together, the commander says Trailblazers, and the crew goes mount up. And so they did not know that Dana was going to do that. And she did not know what they were going to do when she did it. But she said, Trailblazers, mount up. So watch, like I said, go about 50 minutes in and watch the end of it. I think you'll really enjoy that. Okay? No, I'm just going here. Okay. Because I kind of.
Question. Are they going through trials now with a crew and everything? Or?
Okay, that's my next thing. Okay, so there's a series. They decide there's going to be a ship. They're laying the keel. That's when it starts the construction. Then it's built in modules, and so now all the modules are complete. So when I walked in at General Dynamics 5 weeks ago, there was 377 feet of submarine up there. That is impressive because I'm looking up at it and I'm looking, whoa, all the way down. So it has been christened. The next thing that's going to happen is that they're going to have what they call the float off. And that's when it actually goes into the water. And the one that is remaining from Crater Lake will be used on the float off. So that's when it's actually going to go into the water, and that's when it's going to go for sea trials. The way I look at the sea trials is this. I ordered a brand new car, okay? And I really want this car. But I want to take it for a test drive to make sure I like it, because I'm spending a few bucks on this new car. And on a submarine, it's more than a few bucks. So the Navy has the crew on there. And if you'll notice, I'm going to turn around. Right now, it's a pre-commissioned unit because it's not a U.S. ship. It belongs to General Dynamics. Because just like me buying a new car, I don't want to drive it until I take it for a test drive and make sure that everything works, okay? So after the float off, they're going to go on sea trials. And that's where they're going to make sure that everything works. The other thing that will probably happen is because this is so new, the latest technology, if anything happens that would improve the ship in that time frame, they might add something to it. So the sea trials can be from a year to 18 months, depending on what's going on. Okay? So any questions so far?
When is the projected date of the launching of the float off?
That's a good question, and I don't know the answer, and nobody knows the answer right now. Because like I said, it hasn't even gone into the water yet, and then it's going to depend how it works out of the sea trials. Now, I can tell you a lot of theories about when it's going to be. One is that General Dynamics is supposed to put 2 boats a year in the water. In 2019, they put in the South Dakota, and that's all. So they're going to be putting on the Vermont and the Delaware in 2020. And there is some speculation that they're going to try to get Oregon in 2020 also, just to get them back up to the 2 boats a year. But I have been working with people, and I don't know is an answer. I answer a lot. As soon as we know something, believe me, we'll letting everybody know. So, any other questions?
I don't think you really want them currying up on such a project.
No, that's exactly it. Yeah. Make sure that all the duct tape's gone, there's no leaks, you know, some of those. You know, the government goes to the lowest bidder, but you don't have that on a submarine.
Exactly.
No, this has the highest technology.
It's been here all morning.
One of the things that I thought about as I was driving over here this morning is that you realize that a new submarine does not have a periscope.
I think so, yeah.
You know why? It does not have a periscope. Yes. Satellites, exactly. Which kind of fits in with your radios, right? So I was thinking we have the vintage radios here, and we have the latest technology there. The other thing is that they're working quiet because we want to be the quietest boat out there. We want to be where nobody knows where we're at. We want to know where they're at. Okay? So That's a little bit about the boat. Now, the commissioning is when it actually becomes part of the United States Navy and becomes USS, Oregon SSN 793. So what happens at the commissioning is there's a lot of traditions that come with the commissioning. Christening commissioning, my mouth doesn't want to go well. Okay. One of them is that, were you a plank owner by any chance? Is anybody in the Navy a plank owner? Okay. When you are the member of the crew of a ship that is commissioned, you're a plank owner of that boat or ship. And the reason I say boat or ship is a submarine is a boat, and the other vessels are ships. The Navy does not pay for those planks to be given to the plank owners. So that's one of the things that the commissioning committee does, is we buy the planks to give to the crew when they are commissioned. There are some other activities, I'm not gonna go into all of them, but one of them is that there is a commander's dinner. It's where the crew and their families are invited to a dinner. Now, I went to the commissioning of South Dakota, so I get some idea of what was going on in the commissioning of a boat, because I had no idea. So they had a dinner for the family and the crew, and we're gonna have that. And what I would like to see is that the crew was out here for Fleet Week, and I was talking to one of the members of the crew, and he had a 7-month-old son. So I was at the christening of the Oregon 5 weeks ago, and now his 7-month-old son is a year old. That happened with kids, okay? So when we come to the commissioning, that child is gonna be 2.5 years old. And he's not gonna remember this, going to the dinner or picnic or whatever it is, because it's gonna be in Groton, Connecticut, so weather it plays in. But we would like to have maybe somebody come in and do some face painting. And this boy is so cute, he could be my grandson. Some face painting and a picture of him and maybe his dad. And then he would be able to keep that as an heirloom while Dad's gone, and probably something to stay in the family for a long time. So that's why we're having the commissioning committee. The commissioning committee has 2 goals. One is to get the word out that there is a USS Oregon. You would be amazed at how many people do not know that there's a submarine being built named for the state of Oregon. So our job is to get it out to anybody and everybody that we can tell about it, okay? The other goal is to raise money to pay for the activities for the commissioning of the crew. Just as a point of information, because this is one of the questions I've been asked, okay? I went to the commissioning of the South Dakota. I went to the christening of the Oregon. I will probably be going to the commissioning of the Oregon, okay? I can tell you how much the airfare is, I can tell you how much the hotels are, I can tell you how much the rental cars are, because I paid for all that myself. I'm the treasurer of the commissioning committee. I know that there has not been any money paid to any member of the commissioning committee for any expenses involved with making those trips, okay? Because that's a question that I'm asked, I'm the treasurer, I write the check. And I wrote my checks on the other side of it. So, there just is a question that somebody's asking on a regular basis. I don't know when the commissioning is. I will be happy as soon as I find out. You'll probably hear me screaming. We are a 501c under the Portland Council of Navy League, so that any of your deductions will be potentially tax deductible. There is a tier program that we have, so that the amount of money you give puts you up to different levels, so that what you get for that depends on the level. And we also talked about this, because I'm really excited and having a hard time breathing today, because I'm taking care of my 2.5-year-old grandson yesterday, and I've been working on trying to get a venue at Seven Feathers to have a simulcast of the commissioning. And it's as done as can be done without me being able to tell you when. So we're gonna have to wait on that. We do have a place in Portland that has offered to let us do a simulcast here. So that instead of going to Groton, Connecticut in February when it's 6 degrees, which is what happened with South Dakota, you would be able to go to a place here in Portland, or for you, you'd be able to go to Seven Feathers. Those are still, that's the plan. Any questions? I covered everything? Okay. I do have challenge coins over there, which is this. I have a christening coin. The christening coins are limited and they are numbered. Then I have some lapel pins and patches and hats. I have my business cards over there. If you have a question, call me, email me. We have a website, but I prefer you going directly to me, and my personal email is on there. Otherwise, thank you. And 100 years from now, they'll be talking about the USS Oregon as being a vintage submarine. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Dennis Wright. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Are you a native Oregonian?
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool.
Not
I'm
only-
yeah, I
no.
think that's great.
No, I am more than just a native Oregonian, okay? My ancestors, are you familiar with Todd Lake?
No.
It's out of Bend. John Todd owned Bend before he sold it for $33 and 2 saddles. Okay? They're what my inheritance.
I have one question.
We have a question over here.
Oh,
Yeah, so you have BB-3.
Yes.
Battleship 3, what,
Right.
about 1880, 1890, right?
18.
Three dreadnought.
Yeah.
So what was the tonnage of the battleship relative to the tonnage of the sub? I bet you the sub weighs more.
I do not know the answer to that,
I'm a
but.
mechanical engineer, so this is why I asked.
Oh, okay. No, I will, this is the one thing I tell people, okay? When you ask me a question, if I know the answer, I'll tell you. But I will know the answer before I tell you, okay? If you answer me a question that I don't know the answer to, I will tell you. Let me get the information and I will get back to you, okay?
Oh, you don't need to do that, I can look it up.
Okay. Because people ask me a lot of questions, like I gave a presentation and somebody asked me what a reconfigurable torpedo room was, and I go, they let women in the Navy now, so maybe they're pink. Well, a reconfigurable torpedo room is one that can be used for mines, missiles, torpedoes, or seals, among other things.
Wow.
Okay? I learned that, so if you ask that question, I can answer that.
It's probably top secret. There's no periscope on the submarine, so are they launching torpedoes from a satellite to the enemy?
No, the torpedoes are going from the torpedo room on the ship, if they're doing, but you mean the guidance or?
The guidance, yeah, you say there's no periscope, you said they're using satellites.
Right.
So are they did somebody send a message to the satellite and it knows where the enemy is and it sends a torpedo to the enemy?
The guidance, yeah.
The guidance.
Yeah, they're using it for the guidance, so they know where it is because they can see it on
Sure.
their
It's like
screen.
GPS.
Yeah, yeah, GPS.
Yeah, I mean, it's been quite a few years, but I've looked at my house from satellite.
Yes.
You can practically read the license plate and I see my car sitting in the driveway,
Yeah.
a couple 100 miles out.
Yeah, you're right, it probably is classified, but they're not looking at it, by pulling up the periscope. The other thing is that they now use joysticks to drive them. So, any other questions? If you have a question and I get the answer to it, just email me, I'll send it to you, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.